Welcome to Chok Muay Chats, episode 43. I'm Joe Comerford, commentator, content creator, and Muay Thai nerd. I'm here with my good friend Hugh O'Donnell, who's been training and fighting here in Thailand for the last 18 months. Recently just fought on the world's biggest Muay Thai promotion, RWS. Welcome, Hugh. Welcome back to the
Thank you for
podcast.
having me back, Joe. I'm a repeat guest now.
You may as well be a co-host at this point.
Got a
For
couple of years
the
between drinks, though.
Oh, that's it. That's it. And also we worked together. What was it? It was on the WLC show, the
The
W
short-lived WLF.
WLF. That's right. The where fighters would win the tokens. Now moving beyond that, tell us about the journey. Why you came over to Thailand?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the last time we did one of these, I was just visiting, um, and I talked about how I'd always kind of wanted to do the sort of long stint in Thailand, and I'd never got around to it. And look, I think it was probably that few weeks that sort of gave me a little bit of a push to want to like finally do it. It was a little bit of a if I don't do it now, I'll never do it kind of thing. Like I'd always wanted to do it when I was a little bit younger, and then got caught up. I mean, COVID happened and all that, but then started working and things like that, and it started to feel like something that wasn't really an option anymore. And well, then I met my partner Kim, and we were living in two different states, and so we had to do something about someone was going to relocate. And then that kind of made it feel like a good time that we sort of just both got rid of our stuff. Um, Came over here. Kim trains and fights MMA, so she was always interested in coming to Thailand too. We just had to find a place that would suit both of us. And yes, I think us getting together and sort of wanting to get into the same place kind of just gave that push that like that could be an idea now. And yeah, glad we did it.
And you moved around a fair bit. I mean, one of the things that people tend to do when they come to Thailand is they lock into one gym. They'll have a look online and they see good reviews, or they'll see their favorite fighters there and they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to that one." And then they find out that they actually end up having a miserable time because they don't fit into the culture, or they don't like the trainers, they don't like the training style. And it's one of those things that I always tell people, you're never going to find the perfect gym. That's why it's worth shopping around for a while to find what suits you and what suits your lifestyle. Because, some people come over with the idea of trying to do the old John Wayne Parr thing, but it doesn't always work out that way. Can you tell us about how you sort of shopped around a bit?
Yeah, for sure. I think just the fact that Kim needs to train somewhere that can accommodate MMA, and I need to find like a quality Muay Thai gym. That kind of just pushed us to shop around anyway, because there's just a lot of variables. That sport, there's so many different moving parts. It's really different, like you can kind of train Muay Thai anywhere in Thailand. Some are better than others, but there's like a pretty set formula of what training Muay Thai in Thailand is like, and you will find it. Well, I mean, I haven't been everywhere in Thailand, but everywhere I've been in Thailand, you'll find that. And also it was just, we wanted to move around a little bit and just explore. So we set out a few places that we wanted to visit and that was probably around Kim doing MMA, and I kind of worked out where it made sense for me to train. And we probably figured we would land in Phuket because that's where just a lot of the MMA is happening compared to other parts of Thailand. But we started in Pattaya. We spent 5 or 6 weeks at Fairtex, and I fought out of them, and I really liked it at Fairtex. Kim really liked it at Fairtex too, actually. We both enjoyed everywhere that we've trained, but as you mentioned, there's a few things to consider when you pick where you want to train in Thailand, and it's not just the gym that you're training at. It's the teammates, the environment, and the lifestyle outside of training. Like that's all things you got to factor in because people will say they don't care. Oh, I don't care about the lifestyle. I'm just focused on the training, and that's fine. You will, for the right gym, you will sacrifice elements of lifestyle. But if you want to do it long term, you have to like where you are. You have to see yourself staying there long term. And I think that's probably something people don't consider enough. And it's a real reason why people burn out and end up going home because they pick someone that like this is the gym I'm supposed to be at. This is the one that's going to work. And there's nothing for them to do outside of training. They really don't like where they are. Maybe there's not people they can communicate with, which is another big one. And you can put up with it for a matter of weeks, but if you're looking at a matter of years, it rarely works.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that because I mean, often people think straight away that coming to Bangkok is going to be their answer to stardom. But you have a look at a lot of guys like Max McVicker who
Mm.
made the move down to Phuket Fight Club, and I think that's a good move sometimes going down to the islands. As much as I don't actually like Phuket that much, it's not my cup of tea. I like Bangkok. Uh, Obviously, I live and work here for work reasons, but it's always something I've kind of enjoyed the food culture, the
Mm.
cafe culture. I also love nature. I suppose, if I were to have my run again, I would probably go and do Chiang Mai.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think it's really important for people to consider that, especially, uh, nightlife. I think if you want to take this sport seriously, you need to limit distractions as much as you can because I know for me, I, I'm not very self-disciplined, and I would need to exactly, me, I would need to be away from that as much as possible. And a lot of fighters are like that, a lot of people are like that. So those are some factors to consider. Language barriers. So, for example, if you're not so good at languages, perhaps maybe going to a place like Phuket where English is widely spoken, maybe Chiang Mai where English is widely spoken, Bangkok where English is widely spoken. But if you're going to the sticks, like out in Isan, if you want to do the rural circuit, perhaps not such a good idea, if you
yeah.
struggle with languages. So there's all these different types of factors to consider. What other factors do you think there's to consider for fighters coming to Thailand?
One thing I have thought, I suppose being over here for a bit longer now, and especially being somewhere like down here in Phuket, where like I meet so many foreign fighters passing through. Like if you're training at like a higher level gym in Bangkok, that has high level Thai fighters, the turnover might be a little bit smaller. Tourism's driving most of the gyms now, but most of the gyms down here in Phuket are just an absolute revolving door. So I meet a lot of people, and I think probably what I see is a common, I guess, missed consideration by a lot of the people that are coming over to train and fight is they're not sort of clear about what they want to get from their time. And to take that back to how you choose a gym, like a lot of guys come over and you'll say, what are you hoping to get done while you're here? And they'll say, I just want to fight as much as I can and I want to improve. And that is a good goal. But like that's everyone's goal. That's kind of that's not really so much a goal as a prerequisite. You are here because you want to train and fight and improve. But if you're at a certain level, you kind of have to know where you want to fight, what shows you want to fight on, what style you want to fight. Are you a 3 round fighter or a 5 round fighter? Do you want to fight in 4 ounce gloves or 10 ounce gloves? Do you want to? Because it's a cool time for Muay Thai. There are a lot of different pathways, but those pathways are quite clearly defined. And if you want to, for example, if your aim is to go to one championship, you need to be at a gym that is connected with one championship, and that's where they're sending their fighters. And the same can be said for RWS. And if you do want to take the, I suppose, slightly less common path and do the traditional 5 round shows, like if you want to go and fight on Sausamai, that's a different set of connections and also kind of a different training style. And there's a lot of different things to learn. And I think people come over and they just say, I just want to fight as much as possible and I'll land where I land. And that is a very good way to kind of get stuck on a sort of hamster wheel. Because if your goal is not specific, you need to, I guess, work backwards from your end goal. Where do you need to fight right now to get the fights that will lead you to the promotions that you want? And are you in the right training environment to get to the fights that you want? Because you'll figure out quite quickly, living and training here, that different gyms have the promoters that they like to work with and the pathways that they like to follow. And there's no wrong way to do it, but it might not be the way that you want. And if that's the case, then you're kind of never going to get what you want out of your time here. And you should kind of just think about it in advance before you get sort of tied in following a path that, you didn't want to follow. Because I think people say, I just want to fight as much as possible or whatever the kind of like the nebulous aim is. But if you talk to them, they want to fight in one championship or they want to fight in,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
like there's nothing wrong with knowing what you want. You don't have to kind of be told where you should take input, and it should be kind of like a consultative thing with wherever you're training. But if you're dead set, your dream is to go and fight in RWS, and that's not where the gym that you're training at sends fighters, you're sort of setting yourself up for disappointment.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think people also need to realize of the realize of the cultural dynamics between gym owners, promoters, and stadium owners. There's a dynamic that basically now, because of Muay Thai, there's two sides. There's two sides. You've got the Lumpinee side, and then you've got the Rajadamnern side. It's
Yeah,
like, I mean, this is a little bit simplistic, but if we're talking about the two the two sides of the coin, really, most most gyms are divided down the middle. Sorry, are divided on either side. They're either a Lumpini one gym or they're a Rajadamnern Stadium gym. And so if you want to go and fight in 4 ounce gloves, then you need to go to one of the Lumpini gyms. Like there are plenty of gyms out there. I won't say any names. And then other gyms. Now, of course, they do send fighters to either one side, but normally they're pretty loyal to either one of them. Okay. So, I mean, people need to think about that, but it's also about setting smart SMART goals, small sustainable goals. So one, picking the right gym that'll send you to the right pathway, but also two, coming over with a solid idea of where you need to be, not just taking any fight, which I think is good, never saying no to a fight, but also making sure that those fights are going to set you in the right trajectory. Now, there's no problem with keeping active, which you do need to do, but also in a case of being reasonable about it, not taking big silly fights where you're going to fight somebody 10 kilos heavier than you. And I'm sure you got some stories about that.
yeah, as you know. But and also, if I could work off that, I think the
Yeah.
other, it's good to know where you want to go, but I think you also need to know where you are. Because you'll talk to a lot of people that come over here and they're like, I want to fight in one. And it's like, that's fine, but you've had 2 fights.
Yes.
So that's probably not an immediate goal. Like, I probably see this, I see an issue in kind of like, there's two sides. It's like you've either got people that know where they want to go, but they haven't sort of done the work to be considering that yet. That's an issue because and it also comes with, and we've talked about this a lot, sort of just on the phone about comes just how entitled some people are. Like they just have two fights and come over and yeah, how do I get to one? I want someone to send me to one. I want someone to send me to RWS, and it's like just hold your horses and get some experience. And then the other side is people that are racking up a lot of experience, but not really following an established pathway. And that's probably one of the biggest potential traps of being on the islands is you've got a lot of availability of fights here in Phuket. You know, you'll always hear stories of Bangla Stadium and whatever else. And you know, maybe if you're in Koh Samui, for example, you might fight a lot at Pet Punjab or um, the other stadium there, Samui International. And these are great places to get experience. They've got fights almost every night of the week. That's a good thing for a certain stage in your career. But then you need to have an established pathway. Because I watch guys down here, and honestly, from being here and living it, you always hear the stories of people just racking up tons and tons of fights at Bangla or wherever else. But a lot of the time, it's actually worse than I thought it was. Like I've looked at guys that are having, you know, spending a year or more here and having like 20 to 30 fights without ever getting out of local Phuket stadiums. And you'll chat to them and you'll say, you've had a lot of fights there now. What's the next step? And they'll say, I don't know. Like my trainer's just sending me down to Bangor twice a week, once a week, like where they clearly have, you know, you never know what you're going to get at these stadiums. Good guys come through, but the level across the board's not super high. If you're there weekly and winning all the time, it's probably time for you to find a way to step up. And that might be a good indication that you're not with a trainer that's especially invested in your development. They're just happy to, yeah, we'll just go down to the local stadium again. He doesn't have to travel far. It's easy to work with the promoters and find the matches. So that might be a good pause to be like, is anyone actually trying to get me closer to my goals? But also, if they don't know what your goals are, they might think you're happy. If you just say, I just want to fight as much as possible, you're getting what you told them you wanted.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing. And then you've got guys and girls who fight on these circuits and they're not developing at all and not progressing in terms of technique, strategy. It's not getting any better because they're fighting the same people all the time or the same
Yeah,
level of people all the time. And then they're complaining that they're not getting the better opportunities and being salty. I mean, you and I have seen this, you know, sometimes on the RWS stream, you'll see the serial complainers complaining, oh, how come this person's on there? Or how come this person got this opportunity? And it's like, well, you've done yourself no favors,
yeah,
you know? And it's one of those things is, you know, people falling into the trap of just competing on the same circuit. So, yeah, definitely a good thing for people coming over here to think about. Now, you've been here 18 months. How many fights have you had now in the last 18 months in Thailand?
um, something like 15 or 16. I got here. Yeah, I had my first fight on this run last April on Fairtex fight, and I would have fought 15 or 16 times since then.
Now, for people who don't know, Hugh has fought on RWS. He's fought on Fairtex fight. He fought for the Lumpinee title when it was revamped under the SKS Empire Lumpinee birthday show. So, you know, fought some very for big opportunities here in
Hmm.
Thailand. But then also you've kept fairly active on different local circuits. So you've pretty much seen it all in terms of the different levels of, you know, opportunities that fighters can get. I mean, you fought on RWS, the biggest Muay Thai show in the world at the moment. They're not also the first Australian ever to fight for a Lumpinee Stadium. So two very big things. Now, can we just go back to Fairtex fight, and then we'll
Mhm.
talk a little bit about the Lumpini thing, and then talk about Borak at RWS. So, how did you fight on Fairtex fight?
Well, at the time, like we said, the first place I trained here since I moved over was Fairtex. So that is, I suppose, that's a good kind of like pathway show for them. I think it was someone had pulled out of a fight and they needed a replacement because I had only been here a few days when I took it, and I fought a few weeks after getting here, and it was at a ridiculous weight too. Um, but like I was just coming off a pretty severe injury when we came over to Thailand, and I hadn't even really been able to train properly until we got here. So for me, it was just like I came over here, especially when we first arrived, just wanting to take whatever opportunity came up. So they said, "Do you want to fight next week or whenever it was at 77 kilos?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And it was a fun experience. It was a good. I think Fairtex almost like uh, came about since the last time I'd been in Thailand, or so it's interesting to like see, very, very TV oriented show. It's not really for a crowd. It's on in the morning, so you're fighting at like 10 a.m. Like very interesting experience.
Yeah, I mean it's a obviously for those who don't know, I commentate on that, and it's a very slick run production. In the mornings, there's not much of a crowd at the stadium.
Yeah,
It's 10 a.m. on a Saturday, so you can't expect much. But the big thing about it is it's on Channel 7, which is the biggest TV station here in Thailand. So it does fairly well in terms of numbers. Um, but it's really a pathway show to one championship, kind of the stepping stone. Whereas you have other shows for RWS as well. So yeah, you fought on that, so that's one of the kind of pathway shows. And then you've also fought on Raja Knockout, which is a pathway show. Did you fight on? You didn't fight on SKS, did you?
no, I never fought on SKS. I fought on like the SKS Lumpini show, but not the weekly
No, 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 no,
SKS at Raja. Yeah.
not the Sunday show. But you fought on Raja Knockout. Can you just talk to us a little bit about Raja Knockout and what to expect from that?
Yeah, Raja Knockout's an interesting one, because I think it's a real mixed bag. Like it's very much a development show. It's on 3 days a week at Rajadamnern, so there's available opportunities there. If you are, most of the fights are foreigner versus foreigner. So a lot of the guys that if you want to kind of just throw your hat in and get kind of like your name in there and make the Rajadamnern promoters aware of you. Some of the matchmakers for Raja Knockout do also work for RWS. So if they need, if you want to get front of mind for them and kind of impress them, that's a place to do it. Also can be what like sort of why I say it's a mixed bag is because sometimes, RWS of course only has so many places a week. So sometimes if you're really trying to put your name in, I want to fight on RWS, you might get told, do you want to take this fight on? We can't match you this week or this month, or, we're all full up. Would you want to take this fight on Raja Knockout? And I think some people will sort of turn their noses up at it because it's not a televised show, or it's, considered like a little bit of a feeder. But if that's what gets offered, I think you should do it. That's the way that you kind of show your willingness to build your name. And also, if that's another chance, if you're confident in your skills and you think it's beneath you, then why not go and do it? And then kind of just show your skills to the matchmakers a little bit more. Also, keep yourself. Things happen on RWS where they need replacements. If you're trying to get a fight on that show and you they're telling you we've got no space, but you can fight on knockout. That's just how you keep yourself kind of, on the program. And then somebody might pull out, they might lose a fight, something like that. You'll end up on there. Yeah, I think sometimes guys over here don't do themselves heaps of favors by deciding they're above certain shows. I've just fought on every show that was available to me since I've been here. And if you do that, I think you will just end up on the shows that you want to fight on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I mean, you and I have been in this game for a long time, nearly 15 years, and we've seen it all. And I think a lot of this new generation of fighters, I don't want to sound like an old fogey all the time,
Yeah,
but I really do feel that kind of our generation of fighters that were fighting, 10 years ago when more than 10 years ago than when we started, it was all about taking whatever opportunity you could get. But now I'm seeing guys with 5 fights asking for opportunities to fight at Rajadamnern and stuff like that. It's like, no, just take what you can get. Don't turn your nose up at the prospect of Raja knockout, because people don't realize that the matchmakers from RWS are there every single night. And trust me, I commentate on RWS and I see the talent that comes from Raja Knockout.
yeah,
Especially lately, we're seeing some really good talent coming from those shows, from SKS, from Raja Knockout. I mean, if you get the opportunity to fight on Raja Knockout and you fight well, there's a very good likelihood that you're going to get a call up from the matchmakers to be on the prelims or potentially a main card if you're good enough, you know.
yeah.
Um,
And
don't
guys
turn
will
your nose up.
also, they will kind of just like sit on the sidelines. They'll say like, "Oh, I don't want that fight. I want to fight on the big show," and they'll just wait. And I just don't think that does. What does that do for you? Just not like fighting is better than not fighting. It's great to have a goal for which show you want to fight on. Um, but get more experience and you'll be a better version of yourself when you get there.
Exactly, and also for Roger Knockout, the pay's not that bad. 10K.
Yeah, that's
Cheers,
okay.
mate. Yeah, 10K is not that bad. That was way more than I was getting in Australia as a pro. So, you know,
Yeah,
definitely jump at the chance. And it's a good production. It's good production, good crowd. You're fighting in front of, crowds that want to be there. They've paid good money to see good fights. So put on a show. Why not do it? Anyway, let's move beyond pathways. Let's go to SKS Empire Lumpinee birthday show when you fought for the revamped Lumpinee title. The first
yeah,
Australian ever to fight for a Lumpinee Stadium title.
yeah. That was a funny one. Honestly, kind of like the whole way through, I didn't know that much about it. I got offered the opportunity. Um, what did they like? I got told, "Do you want to fight at Lumpini birthday show at 160 pounds, same day weigh in on whatever day it was." So yeah, sounds good. 160 pounds for a same day weigh in is cool. And then I just started training for the fight. A lot of the time, I think that was a few weeks out, and a lot of the time in Thailand, I accept the fight for the date, but I don't really look at the details of it too much because if it's more than a few weeks away, the opponent's probably going to change a bunch of times. And I didn't get told an opponent at the time, just a weight and a date. I said, "Yeah, it sounds good," and they said it's this is going to be a big event and they're going to pay okay. And I said, "That's always nice." And then a few weeks go by. I don't ask for a lot of detail over here. I think you kind of have to get used to not asking for detail because you won't get it.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. It's in Thailand, people need to get used to not having clear communication. Thai culture sort of runs on a concept of Grengjai, of being considerate and not kind of shaking the status quo. And also, communication may not be that direct to you.
Yeah,
You know, in the West, we're used to getting things done straight away and a clear trajectory. Whereas here in Thailand, things will go through the long route and people will communicate through four different avenues, and they'll be communicating with this person will be communicating this person, and this person over here. And sometimes, often, because of the concept of Grengjai, they don't want to cause any disruption or be cause any conflict. They may avoid telling you information in concern of upsetting you. So things may not happen straight away. So people need to understand that you've got to just roll with the punches. I mean, Thai working culture also works like this, and it can be very frustrating, but you've just got to learn to roll with the punches and be sabai sabai. So just relax, relax. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it was important to explain that communication isn't always the clearest. So you have to learn to be able to adapt.
Yeah, and also how you're kind of received by your trainers and whoever's matchmaking for you. You won't do yourself any favors if you ask a ton of questions. Like they really won't like it. It's just kind of seen as like I don't know how I would describe it, but it's not well received if you want more detail than is available, or you won't accept a fight unless you know everything. It's kind of seen as like almost like being scared. Like like you're not fully committed to the idea. If you like they say you fight this date and you say, yes, that's it. If what how tall is he? Where's he from? Who am I fighting? Because it'll probably change a lot. Even like when you're fighting here, even on bigger shows, this isn't just fighting, in the islands. It's like the date changes, the weight changes, the opponent changes, and that's all the way up at every level. You just have to get used to saying yes and then use the information you have until you get told it's different. But every time, just roll with the punches, which was kind of this situation. But then as kind of time went on, I get little bits more detail. It's actually 168 pounds. So it's the super middleweight. You're finding that super middleweight. So, okay. Fine. I already said yes to the fight. I was already about sort of around about what I walk around at is the super middleweight limit. I said, okay, that's no problem. No, but it'd be good. You won't have to lose anyway. I said, yeah, that's nice, I guess. Um, then kind of found out, and then like I kind of reassured myself. I was like, 168 pounds for a same day weigh in. It's okay. It's not the same as fighting a 168 pounds with a
Yep.
24-hour weigh in. And it was a day before weigh in. I only found that out when I kind of was traveling to Bangkok that I was weighing in at like 10 a.m. the day before the fight. And I was fighting Kompikat Sortaramung, who was the most recent Lumpinee champion at that weight. So it was okay. And then I really think like it's not a weight that I need to fight at, but I was kind of like, he's not the biggest super middleweight in the world. It's okay. And yeah, and then also like it was just that was probably the most Thailand fight experience I've ever had. Like I was finding it, I found out it was 3 rounds. I found out it was 3 rounds like right before the fight after getting told. And that was like the guys who were looking after me. I believe they had that information, but they consistently told me. Like if they had told me, yeah, I believe they had access to this information. Like it wasn't, it wasn't a surprise on the promotion side. It was just kind of like no one really checked, and they all reassured me the entire way through the prep that it was 5 rounds, and we found out at the stadium it was three, which is okay. I honestly don't even think it changed that much. And then had a good, it was a good 3 rounder against Kompikan, and really just tried to wear him down in the clinch, but in the end he was just a little bit too smart. And I had success early, and he sort of just figured out how to not let me catch him and ended up outpointing me.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You win some, you lose some, and it was a good opportunity a good opportunity as well. I mean, you can add that to the bucket list. I mean, not many Australians have fought for a Lumpinee Stadium title. You're the only one, so certainly want to tick off there. Now, moving beyond that, that was for the SKS Empire Lumpini birthday show. Then you had a couple of fights after that, down on the islands, and then you got the call up for RWS. So only a few weeks back, if people remember, you fought Urat from Turkey. Can you talk to us about that? I mean, that was really the end goal, wasn't it, to get on to RWS? I mean, you and I have been speaking about this for a while. I was trying to get your name in the hat there for a while. And
Hmm.
obviously, you've commentated on RWS Japan.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy opportunity.
No, no worries. Um,
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
no, it's awesome, isn't it? It's talk to us about RWS Japan first, like doing the commentary for that, from your perspective.
Oh, it was amazing. It was like really one of the non-fighting highlights of the whole time I've been away to like I think that was my first experience kind of working with RWS in any capacity and meeting um, some of the actually I don't know what everyone's job is, but some of the RWS team who kind of coordinated things for us, and it was really professional having everything arranged and getting to uh, fly to Japan to commentate is like nuts. I love commentary. I really enjoy doing it. But at home, it's a little bit of a labor of love. Sometimes I just get involved to help my friends' shows. If that, mate, I hope it's helpful. Like if they need it, if they, but here, like just to yeah, get flown to Japan. I've never been to Japan. I always wanted to go as well. Get flown there with the RWS team and commentate a big show like RWS Japan was like mental. I was like, I kind of couldn't believe it the whole time. And just by chance, I got to do it with my friend Matty Bones as well. It was an unbelievable opportunity. It's just he happened to be in Thailand at the time too, so was able to, I think when you offered the job to me, you asked if I knew anyone else who could do it, and it kind of clicked with me that he was in Thailand at that time and he was able to make it. So it's everything went pretty perfectly, really, and got to commentate the upset knockout when
I know,
yeah,
crazy.
that's a piece of history. That's like I think as a commentator you want to be on the spot when huge moments happen, and Kun Suk Lek got knocked out by Ricky Matsuda, which was like I don't know what the odds were on that fight
Well,
specifically, but it was like no one was expecting it.
no, and at that point, Kunsuk Lek was 40 fights undefeated. He was on a
Yeah,
40-fight win streak, so massive, massive. I mean, he still is the goat of this generation, as he moves up in weight. But he, man, what an upset!
just one of those anything can happen moments, because if you watch the rematch between those two that was a few months later on RWS, you would never believe that Rookie stopped him in the first or second round. Uh, he was just technically perfect in that fight. Rookie just couldn't deal with the kicks, but I love moments like that that just show you anything can happen.
And then moving after that, you got the call up for RWS, which is when you told me. I was very excited for that because I mean it's been a long time coming to fight on there. Can you tell us about the journey, the training camp, and finally the moments about getting there and then after?
Yeah, RWS was a brilliant experience. Like you said, it was a goal of mine sort of the whole time I've been here. I believe RWS is the pinnacle of Thai boxing right now. I think everyone wants to be there, and just by some funny circumstances, it did take a really long time for me to get the call up, and there was a lot of fights moving around. I thought I was on one day, and then it was a couple of months before the date sort of settled. But it's okay. I just kept fighting, and that's as you said. I would take some local fights in Phuket if I found out the fight got rescheduled. I would just stay busy and make some money in Phuket, stay sort of fresh, I guess, and work on different things. Um, and in kind of turning, really trying to lock down on making sure I was best positioned to go to RWS. I started training at Powerhouse at the start of this year. Um, just kind of like, and that was a really, really good decision. Like I wish I'd made it earlier. I talked to Paul and Jack about kind of how things have been going for me in Thailand and what my goals were, and just being able to communicate that and work with the team on getting what I wanted rather than that kind of typical arrangement of just sort of do what you're told. It's helpful to kind of have be able to make your intentions clear and be heard and have people that want to support you to get where you want. That's really good. And I really like the training too. It's cool. It's very different to kind of a typical Thailand training style. Like there's a lot of kind of like it's a true sort of program, I guess. The way they train, we know what we're doing on different days. A lot of drill work. I think that's the biggest thing that people don't do when they come to Thailand is scenario drill. You, it's not just every session is pad work, bag work, sparring, clinching. We spar in specific sessions. We have our sparring days. We do fighter specific drill work. Paul will come up with different scenarios that he wants to practice. Those will be designed based on which opponents people are fighting and stuff like that, and the results of fights too. If we struggle in a certain area or there's something that's worth going into more, that will influence the drill work, which I think you can't really go wrong doing that at any level. Like it's not typical at the Thai fighters often don't do that style of training, but they also get more experience than we ever can. And I think that's important to consider. Like, I feel really good in training when I do drill work, and it just gives you different things to think about. Drilling different scenarios, drilling live. So even if you're sparring, it's not just spar and do your usual shit. It's one person can use these weapons and one person can use these. Spar for a scenario, boxer versus knee fighter, that kind of stuff, just to keep you working on different elements of your game. So yeah, that was just really good, and the RWS opportunity not coming about right away probably gave me the chance to settle into training with Powerhouse, and Paul has done my corner for like 7 or 8 fights now, I think. So like we were working well, and we've traveled together. You know, we've been to Bangkok a couple of times now. We have gone out to Samui, fought locally, so we kind of like understand each other and how we work. Um, yeah, so then got to fight. Oh, got a good opportunity too to fight Burak Poraz from Turkey, who's ranked at the stadium and has fought for the title. So I knew it would be a tough one right away. Ultimately, fight didn't go our way, and it was kind of like a frustrating one in a way. I just made a couple of pretty stupid mistakes that I shouldn't make at this level, but that happens sometimes. It's like I was pretty down about it after the fight, to be honest, because it was a long build up to get the opportunity, and I didn't really feel
Yeah.
like I performed to my potential. But at this point, it's like after the fight, it hurts a lot because you wanted to do better. But now we're back in the gym. Now it's once I'm actioning it, it doesn't hurt anymore. It's just like we continue on and we fix the mistakes, you know. Like I like to feel maybe it's a control thing, but once I am in a position where I'm taking what happened and turning it into actively making improvements, I feel good. I have no like it's not an emotional thing anymore. It's just fixing the gaps and making things happen.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things that happened, you know, in Matt Lucas's vlog at the end was the last interview where he said, "Oh, you know, how do you feel?" And you said, "Oh, you know, today's not my day. You just get on with it." I mean, it's a pretty, it's kind of an Australianism in a way. You know, there's kind of no use feeling sorry for yourself. You just got to get on with it and get the job done. And yeah, like you do have the right to feel um sad and emotional because you'd been waiting a long time for this goal, and then if you feel like you didn't perform well, I thought you did an exceptional job. I think really the only thing that needed to happen was pressing forward a little bit more,
Yeah,
uh, really taking the fight to Burak, because there were sort of moments in that fight where I think you kind of allowed him to fight his way. But you know what? If we run it back, there's that opportunity to go and do that again. And it's a learning experience. I thought you put on a phenomenal performance. And considering you weren't feeling 100% as well coming into that fight, uh, you know, exceptional, exceptional. And as you said, you just get on with it at the end of the day.
that's the way. That's the only way, really. It's like, and like you said, you say you're allowed to be upset when you lose. You should be upset when you lose. You really should. If you
Yeah,
lose a fight and you aren't sad about it, I would question your motivation in the first place. You should, and you should let yourself be. I don't really like when I corner a guy and they lose and they say, it's okay. It's like, no, yeah, like it is okay. But it's like you have to let yourself feel what you're going to feel about it because then that's what should motivate you to do better next time. Let yourself feel everything you're going to feel, but give yourself a day, give yourself 2 days if you want to be generous,
yep.
and get on with it. Take the rest that you need to rest. Where are you injured? What do you need to do to, rehab, recover, put yourself back in a position to train at your best, look after yourself, and then you just pick it up and move on. It's like you can be upset. You can definitely be upset, but it's over. And no amount of anything changes it. It's done. It's in the record books now. It's finished. It's the past. You have no control over that anymore. What you have control of now is what you do to improve, how you learn from it, how you take what happened. Because in a way, not being upset is like not really sitting with the result at all. And you have to sit with it and think about what happened and face up to where you didn't quite stack up and what you need to improve, because that's how you will approach the next, going back to the gym with a bit of honesty about where your weaknesses are and fix them. Like you should honestly, like I hate losing. I've lost. I'm reasonably seasoned loser. I've lost quite a lot, but I don't like it. I really don't like it. But there is a feeling after a loss when you're back in the gym that is there's almost something positive about it, like that feeling of like there's like an excitement that comes with, especially if like you find somewhere that you really need to work on that you were like, oh, I really didn't stack up in that area. And then being able to just steer your training around it. I think having that focus, there is something kind of exciting about that. Like, okay, because really you just got to like own what you can control and you can improve anywhere. You can drill the things that you need to drill. And something about, getting humbled a little bit and figuring out that you weren't quite good enough in a certain area. There's like an excitement to it when you get back in the gym, like that hunger, I guess, to know like, okay, I figured it out. I've watched the fight or I have done whatever I needed to review it and I know what I need to improve. I think it's like the purpose that can give your training and the sort of motivation of no, like the sting of it. Like I really think if channeled the right way, it can be a really positive thing for your frame of mind if you choose to own it in that way.
Yeah, I think that's good food for thought for a lot of athletes. Not just coming here, but just training and fighting at home, whether it's in Muay Thai or boxing or any other combat sport. You got to own it. You got to own it, and then move on and make the right adjustments to get better. Not only for yourself, but for your team. Everybody who puts in work for you. Now, uh, you've got a potential fight coming up. We probably can't talk too much about it, but it's in a couple of months. You've got about 8 weeks
Yeah.
to train and fight. Is the idea to stay here in Thailand until that time?
Sorry, just can you repeat that last part again? I was
I
really good.
said, is the idea to stay here in Thailand till that time?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just in the process right now of sorting out um the next couple of months. I've been looking a little bit at getting back to Australia for a while. The last few, Kim's actually already back there. She's just had some work opportunities come up, and it made a little bit more sense for her to be
Yep.
there than here. And I wanted the RWS fight, so we just kind of agreed it would make more sense to part ways for a little while. Obviously, I miss her a lot, so it's like I'm starting to look to getting back to Australia too. But after kind of feeling a little bit like I underperformed on RWS, I'd like another shot at Raja Damnern. And like you said, we can't say too much about it, but that's where the potential next opportunity would be. I think we could say that much. And it's another fight that's at quite a good level, a good chance to sort of show what I believe I can do. So I would stay here to get that one. And honestly, it's a fair way away, so I'd probably fight again in the middle too. Um, just it's I
Yeah,
keep
I,
I keep the
I
body
was,
warm, as the Thai
I
say.
was, I was thinking that. I was suspecting that. I thought, you know what? I bet you he's going to be a cheeky bugger and get a fight down in Phuket or something in between. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you got what? Like, say you fight in 2 weeks. That gives you 6 weeks. That's heaps of time. So,
Yeah,
you know, you'll be right. She'll be right, as they say in our home country of the Southern Cross. You'll be right. She'll buff out. Um, so yeah, I mean that's exciting. And then the prospect after that would probably be go back to Australia. Obviously, Kim being in Australia, and you know, when you love someone, it's hard to be away from them. So that makes sense as well. And you're at a position now in your career where you can actually do that. You could be in Australia and just fly over for the fights at Raja, um, like a lot of the Aussies are doing now. So, I mean, I reckon that makes sense.
yeah. And look how well they're doing, man. Josh King, Davina, Gabrielle. There's plenty of Australians that aren't based here that are over here really killing it on RWS. And I think for me, coming over to Thailand and doing what I did the last couple of years, it's what I wanted. I'm happy with what I've done. Like I didn't win every fight, but I fought uh, at a pretty high level across the board. I think it's helped me improve a lot, and I enjoyed just having this stint of time where I was fighting every single month. But it's probably like you can't do that forever. Um, so I think, yeah, spending some time back in Australia and just uh, building up to the fights a little bit more and being a little bit more selective about taking the fights that I really want. I think that's kind of the stage of my career that I'm getting to now. You know, not 20 years old anymore. I got to be a little bit more. Yeah, just like fights that are really going to build me and help me feel like I'm kind of building the career that I want and taking the challenges and the opportunities that I want to. So I think the move back to Australia, if I can sort of set things up the way that I want to, I think I'll be back to Thailand
Absolutely.
regularly enough.
Now, before we end the interview, what is just one essential piece of advice that you would give to fighters looking to come here to Thailand that we already have covered?
One piece of advice that I'd give to fighters coming to Thailand, was that the question?
Yep.
Um, I don't know how to like word this exactly right, but pretty simply, fight often. Like build your experience. Like that is like if I was to put it, I think there's like been a little bit of a mentality shift maybe and we've touched on this in a couple of different contexts since we've been speaking of it's good that fighters have big goals and they know where they want to go, if they know where they want to go, but fight often, build your experience. I think if I look at fighters that are really really pushing it and trying to raise levels is that for us as Australian fighters, if there's one thing we maybe don't have on our side, it's experience. Build whatever experience you can. Don't be overly choosy. Just fight often. And I look at the guys that I think are the best fighters coming out of Australia in the last few years, and the names that come to my mind are Chad Collins. Um, we've claimed Max McVicker. He's ours. He flies the Australian flag, and in very different ways. But and there are others, but they're two names that just really jump out. In really different ways, they're both guys that racked up a lot of experience. Chad, of course, came to Thailand for all those years and fought and fought and fought. And Max had a really, really long amateur career, and he's racked up over 100 fights in his young life. They are where they are now because they had a lot of experience and they took challenges and they fought as much as they could. And then, the results have shown for both of those guys time and time again at the highest level. I think we should all be trying to just get whatever experience that we can and taking challenges and not be overly selective, because you might not win every single fight, but fighting a lot is going to make you a better fighter, and more experience is always a good thing. And the sport grows if we're all fighting often and learning a lot and building our styles and just testing ourselves and challenging ourselves. I think that's something I would like to see more guys do, is
Absolutely.
just fight often and just have a crack.
Absolutely. I think that's really sound advice. Fighting as much as possible, taking any opportunity you get, not just being overly selective because you think you're better than you are. I think very sound advice from a veteran of the sport who has fought on some of the world's biggest shows, had some of the biggest opportunities, and has seized them. And a seasoned fighter, a very intelligent person in the world of Muay Thai, and certainly worthy of all the accolades that he has. Very genuine, authentic person in the world of Muay Thai. Thank you, Hugh O'Donnell, for joining me today for episode, I think, 43. So make sure, ladies and gentlemen, you subscribe, share amongst your friends. You can find it on YouTube and Spotify. This is Chok Muay Chats with yours truly, Joe Comerford, commentator, content creator, and Muay Thai nerd. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Hugh.